Ryan sat on the porch, gazing at the sky as dusk painted the horizon in soft strokes of pink and gold. The wind murmured through the trees, but his thoughts were anything but quiet. His mind was crowded with memories he couldn't escape, the weight of his recent breakup pressing heavily on his chest. Lost in thought, he barely noticed when Elena's voice broke through the haze. She stood in the doorway, her gentle smile warm and familiar. "Hey," she said softly. Ryan forced a small smile. "Yeah, just thinking." Elena stepped forward, settling beside him on the porch steps. She had always been a steady presence, someone who listened without judgment. "I know it's been tough," she said, her voice laced with understanding. "But you're stronger than you realize." Ryan nodded, though his heart clenched at her words. Lately, her kindness had started to feel different, warmer, more comforting than he had expected. He knew he shouldn't be thinking about her that way, but emotions never followed rules. A week later, Ryan returned home late from work, exhausted. As he stepped inside, he found Elena in the kitchen, quietly preparing dinner. The glow of the overhead lights softened her features, and for a brief moment, the turmoil inside him faded. "You're home late," she said, turning to face him. "Yeah, just a long day." He hesitated before adding, "Thanks for checking in." She smiled. "Of course. You've been through a lot." Her genuine concern shook him more than he expected. Gratitude swirled inside him, tangled with something far more complicated. Days passed, and Ryan found himself drawn to her in ways he couldn't ignore. When she laughed, it felt like sunlight warming the room. When she spoke, her voice settled his restless thoughts. He tried to push the feelings away, convincing himself they meant nothing. One evening, as they carried groceries inside, Ryan could no longer contain what had been building inside him. "I don't know how to say this," he admitted, his voice strained. "But you've been the one person who's really been there for me. And I think I'm starting to feel something more." Elena froze, her expression unreadable. The air between them grew thick with tension. "Ryan," her voice wavered. "I care about you, but this isn't right." "I know," he said quickly, stepping back. "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said anything." Before she could respond, Mia's voice rang out from the doorway. "Everything okay?" Ryan swallowed hard. "Yeah, everything's fine." Later that evening, Mia cornered him in his room. "I heard you talking to Elena," she said, her tone firm. "Look, I know you're hurting, but this isn't the answer." "I wasn't trying to." Ryan stopped, sighing. "I know. I don't know what I'm feeling." Mia's expression softened. "You're feeling lost. But you can't fill that space with something that isn't yours to hold." Ryan sat in silence long after she left, her words echoing in his mind. Deep down, he knew she was right. But knowing didn't make it any easier. No matter how hard he tried, his heart remained tangled in emotions he couldn't control. In the days that followed, Ryan kept his distance. He avoided long conversations with Elena, burying himself in work and spending more time at the library, hoping that keeping busy would quiet his thoughts. Yet, no matter how much he distracted himself, memories of her crept back. The warmth of her smile, the softness of her voice, the way she had always made him feel understood. One afternoon, he stopped by the grocery store to pick up a few things. As he turned into an aisle, he saw her. Elena. She smiled when their eyes met, but he hesitated. "Hey," she said softly, stepping closer. "I've hardly seen you lately." "Yeah, I've just been busy," he muttered. She seemed to hesitate before speaking again. "Can we talk?" That evening, a summer storm rolled in, filling the air with the scent of rain. They met at a nearby park, finding shelter under a gazebo as the downpour drummed against the roof. The air was cool, charged with unspoken words. "I've been thinking a lot," Elena said, her voice barely above a whisper, "about what you told me." Ryan shifted uncomfortably. "I'm sorry if I made things awkward." "It's not that," Elena said, shaking her head. I don't know how to put it into words. You've always meant a lot to me, but whatever this is, it can't happen." Ryan nodded quickly. "I know. I don't want to complicate things for you." "You didn't," she assured him, her gaze softening. "But I care about you, Ryan, and that's exactly why we have to stop now." His chest tightened. He swallowed hard. "I understand," he said, his voice weighted with unspoken emotion. The rain intensified, filling the silence between them with its steady rhythm. "I just want you to be happy," Elena added quietly, "even if that means walking away." Ryan forced a small smile, but the ache in his heart remained. "I'll be fine," he murmured, though he wasn't sure he believed it himself. The days that followed. Determined to move forward, Ryan threw himself into work, keeping his interactions with Elena brief and his emotions locked away, no matter how difficult it was. He convinced himself this was the only way. One evening, as he sat alone in the living room, mindlessly scrolling through his phone, Mia walked in and studied him for a moment. "You're still thinking about her," she said knowingly. Ryan sighed, setting his phone aside. "I just want these feelings to disappear." "They will," Mia said gently, "but not if you keep running from them." "I'm not running," he muttered. "Yes, you are," she countered. "You're avoiding everything. Her, your emotions, even yourself." Ryan didn't respond, but her words struck a nerve. "You're stronger than you realize," Mia added. "But strength isn't just about pushing through. Sometimes it's about facing things head on. You have to let go." Long after she left, her words lingered in his mind. A letter unspoken. That night, Ryan sat at his desk, staring at a blank sheet of paper. His thoughts swirled in chaos, messy, tangled, restless. But somehow, writing felt easier than saying the words out loud. "Elena, I'm sorry for what I said, for putting you in that position, and for letting my emotions get the best of me. The truth is, you've always been there when I needed someone, and somewhere along the way, I confused comfort with something more. That wasn't fair to you. I know this hasn't been easy for either of us, but I needed to say this. Not because I expect anything, but because I can't move forward until I face it. I care about you, but I realize now that what I need most is to focus on myself. Thank you for always being there, for your kindness, for your patience. Please don't carry any guilt over this. None of it was your fault. I'll always be grateful for you. Take care of yourself." He folded the letter, slipped it into an envelope, and left it on the kitchen counter where he knew she'd find it. A weight lifted from his chest, though a quiet ache still remained. The morning after, for the first time in weeks, Ryan woke up feeling lighter. The burden of unsaid words no longer weighed him down. He spent the day refocusing on his goals, studying, working out, reconnecting with friends he had unintentionally distanced himself from. That evening, Mia noticed a shift in his demeanor. "You seem different," she observed. Ryan exhaled, nodding. "I just needed to be honest with myself." "That's good," she said with a small smile. "Proud of you." Elena's closure. Meanwhile, Elena sat at the kitchen table, her fingers tracing the edges of Ryan's letter as her eyes moved slowly over the words. A breath she hadn't realized she was holding slipped from her lips. She wiped away a tear, not from sadness, but from relief. She cared about Ryan, but this letter gave her something they both needed: closure. A few days later, as Ryan was heading out the door, Elena stepped forward. "Hey," she said gently. "I read your letter." Ryan hesitated before responding. "I wasn't sure if I should have left it." "I'm glad you did," Elena said gently. "And I'm glad you're okay." "I will be," he replied with a small smile. "I think I just needed to let go." "Me too," she murmured. As Ryan stepped outside, he took a deep breath, feeling as though he was inhaling fresh air for the first time in weeks. Letting go hadn't been easy, but it had been necessary. And now, for the first time in a long while, he was ready to move forward. Moving on. With time, Ryan shifted his focus toward his future. He picked up extra shifts at work, setting aside money for a long overdue trip to visit old friends across the country. Keeping busy not only helped him heal, but it also allowed him to reconnect with the parts of himself he had lost in the whirlwind of emotions. One evening, Mia invited him to a small gathering with mutual friends. At first, he was hesitant, but eventually he agreed. The night buzzed with conversation, laughter filling the space around him. For the first time in a while, Ryan felt himself truly relaxing. Ryan. A familiar voice made him turn. He found himself face to face with Sarah, a friend he hadn't seen in months. She greeted him with a warm smile, and soon they fell into an easy conversation. Sarah had always been easy to talk to, light-hearted yet thoughtful. "I heard you've been going through a lot," she said softly. "Yeah," Ryan admitted, "but I think I'm finally figuring things out." Her smile widened. "Good. You deserve that. A new beginning." Over the following weeks, Ryan and Sarah spent more time together. Their connection was effortless. No pressure, no confusion. Just two people enjoying each other's company. He wasn't looking for anything serious. But somewhere along the way, his feelings for her began to grow. One afternoon, while grabbing coffee, Sarah paused mid-conversation, studying him thoughtfully. "You seem different," she noted. Ryan exhaled, nodding. "I think I finally let go of things that were holding me back. For a long time, I kept chasing something that wasn't meant for me. But now, I feel like I can finally breathe again." Sarah's expression softened. "I'm really happy to hear that. You're a good guy, Ryan." Her words stayed with him long after she had gone. He realized how different this felt. No overwhelming pressure, no guilt, no uncertainty. Just peace. A quiet happiness. Mia was quick to notice the change. "So you and Sarah?" she teased one evening. Ryan chuckled. "We're just spending time together." "Sure," she smirked. "But I haven't seen you smile like this in a while." He didn't argue, because she was right. As the days turned into weeks, Ryan felt lighter, more grounded. The emotions he had once carried for Elena no longer burdened him. Instead, he felt grateful not for the pain, but for the lessons it had taught him. He realized love wasn't just about intense emotions or chasing something that felt right in the moment. It was about patience, understanding, and finding someone who made you feel whole. Not someone who filled a void, but someone who simply fit, exactly where he needed to be. One evening, as Ryan walked Sarah home, she paused at her doorstep, looking up at him with a warm smile. "Thanks for tonight," she said softly. "Anytime," Ryan replied. As she stepped inside, he turned and walked away, a quiet sense of contentment settling in his chest. For the first time in a long while, he wasn't chasing something out of reach. He was exactly where he needed to be.